of growth. That is the difference. You're absolutely right. If you combine that with rate of, we'll get a different and much more accurate story of going. And my guess is they will be overlapping a lot in that chart. But thank you for pointing that out. I think the last point you made about private provision of infrastructure, and I do hope you have a chance to look. It is true that the upper middle class and middle class can absorb, and Bangalore is a perfect, Smita City is a perfect case of that. But the point I think we are making in the report is, yes, they can absorb the initial cost, but the true cost of service provision, for example, is that's the point we're trying to make. What is the life cycle cost of service provision, whether it's private or public, and the life cycle cost of private provision, in most cases across the board, is actually much higher. Simply because you look at Bangalore, I mean, people are digging water, and there is not enough water. They're going to go 200 miles away to bring water to Bangalore. So thanks for the point. I just wanted to clarify that.
Ian DeCruz, New Climate Economy. Niraj, just one question. Seeing that there's strong alignment between the report and some of the government's agenda, if you were to look forward in the next year, what is one thing that possibly the broader New Climate Economy partnership could support something that the government is doing in the future? And if you could give us an example of that, that'd be very helpful.
This answer would actually take care of your comments also, because the one thing which the government has set eyes on is credit rating, making our cities credit-worthy and going for market borrowing. So right now the 500 cities, all of them which are more than 100,000 in population, are being credit rated. More than 120 have been rated right now. 17 have got AAA plus minus or more, which means they are credit worthy to go. We appointed top of the line transaction advisors for these cities, the best in the market available, who are now holding hands of these cities to improve, prepare their plans for even a small amount, 100, 200, 500 crores to go for market borrowing. That would include introduce in them that kind of confidence we want to borrow, utilize and repay. We are not going for state government guarantees. We are going by the financial intermediary model, where there is a counter guarantee by some kind of assurance and understanding with the consortium, but not sovereign guarantee. And also exactly what you were mentioning, to take away the states from the grants and devolution dependency. If you see which the smart city proposals, 60 of them have been approved and they are available on the portal. Any city would have a plan of about 2,000 to 3,000 crores. Obviously, there's a small amount to make any city smart, but whatever were within the guidelines and the mandate of retrofitting, redevelopment, and pan-city solutions. A 3,000 crore project has assured government grant only of 800 crores. So the right from day one, that city knows that I have to manage 2,200 crores, leveraging this 800 crores. And that is the challenge and the beauty of Smart City Mission. So leveraging funds, going for market borrowing is inbuilt into our plans today.
Neeraj, can I make one small comment? I mean, which just want to build on both the issuers and OP's comment on capacity. That as we do all these different things, we're asking cities to do many different things, and relatively complicated things where basic things are not getting done. So in my other work, not in this particular report, we actually advise very strongly to actually reduce the number, meaning prioritize action in city level. So I just want, so that few things can be done well, we can build the capacity of the things that you're talking about, Ishar. So that capacity is a huge issue across not only just India, most of the global south. I just wondered, in that perspective of prioritization of action, what are the things from the ministry you're focusing on in these cities that we're talking about?
Are you thinking about the infrastructure side? What are the priorities? No.
I mean, there are multiple missions at the national level that the central government is trying to push in cities, right? And at the same time, it's clear that the capacity of cities to act on them are varied at in the best possible way.
Yes.
And the Guwahati example that OP used just now. So I'm just wondering, from the central government side, the prioritization of what are the things that we would prioritize, because as you to show from our report, there's a vast difference in how cities are growing, right? Some are going. Just wondered how you see that, and how do you see the differentiation in capacity?
So OP sir would not be happy with my answer. The number one priority is to make our urban areas open defecation free. So there's a Swachh Bharat Abhiyan which has a timeline of October 19, but we know that we are going to achieve it by end of 2017 or mid of 18 maximum. So open defecation free, and it's not a declaration, it is 6 monthly review, monitoring and revalidation for next 3-5 years. So there will be independent agencies who will be verifying and certifying every 3 months that the city is and remains open defecation free by provisioning of infrastructure and facilities. So that is, if you ask, number one priority right now. Then we move on to solid waste management, because that will free up lot of land, lot of issues of the pollution and environment. After the solid waste, water supply, in that order. So the whole Amrit mission is focused. The mission mandate is water to every household, clean drinking, potable water in the required quantity, not 24/7 necessarily everywhere, but availability. That is the mission mode. Then on the these would be probably, I would say, top priority, which we have provided for, which are arranged, that capacities are lined up, and the mechanisms of governance, institutions and funding is tied up. Then we move on to other things like on the reform side, resource mobilization, governance, credit rating, energy efficiency, and a whole lot of things. It doesn't figure, sir.
No, I don't think
urban
Anil
mobility
was talking about sector-specific priorities. I think it was focused a lot on capacity building.
Because you raised it, but the sectoral priorities are clear.
I think your sector prioritization is perfectly okay.
But I'm surprised you didn't raise the mobility question.
No, I think in the Amrit cities, I think mobility is a key challenge in the bigger cities. In the smaller cities, I think what Neeraj pointed out are really the priorities. The concern is, do the cities have the ability to understand and implement this, or is it going to be only consultants doing it? That's really the challenge. And that's the capacity building that I was talking about. You had to step out for a while. But that's the capacity that I'm worried about. And the capacity building, as I mentioned, is not a whole range of training programs. It goes way beyond that. An orchestrated program of capacity building is what I felt is really needed.
Very happy to hear from you that water and sanitation, particularly sanitation, you say is a major priority. For the last 4 months, I've been writing on solid waste management, and tomorrow is yet another column on solid waste management. And my worry is that we are not really reflecting on the depth of what is needed in order to get Swachh Bharat. One of the things that we've done is we've actually fragmented our approach to water and sanitation by having solid waste management under one program and wastewater treatment under another. And then when we talk of open defecation, I don't think, Neeraj, you probably meant that, but very often I find we are only focusing on having toilets. So it's like, if you could just shut the door and you don't see it, you've got Swachh Bharat. But the point is, the septage management, the back-end integration, and the costs involved are enormous if you're going to do that. And I seriously recommend, because this is an area that I have chosen to focus on, and my next column tomorrow, the reason I came late was it went off at 5:30 and then I jumped into the car, and it's really so frustrating that we don't do the first thing, which is to make segregation at source mandatory. If we could do that, then we have these solutions for the biodegradable part. But we are not even addressing these questions. When you say with technology, we'll solve the problem. I mean, I'm all for technology, but I think side by side governance and institutions need to be highlighted, and the back end needs to be really focused on. But at least I'm so happy that you didn't say mobility, you said water and sanitation.
Could I ask a question or make an observation on the credit rating side and the ability to borrow? Because what you described must give you a lot of data on why it is that some people are rated higher than others, and to start to think of what you could do as a matter of policy to bring up the rating of those who are not rated so high. And is it true that those who are rated high have strong revenue bases, so that the person lending the money can see that there's some revenue coming in? That could well be the reason, in which case the whole discussion about how to increase the revenue base through land valuations, building valuations starts to come in. And I think there are many more ways to do the value of building, the value of land, much more precisely than able to have done in the past. We urgently need to do that in the UK. It is enormously political because if you value somebody's house very highly, they worry that they're then going to be taxed very heavily. But you know, I think there are ways around that. But so the first question is about the revenue streams, and the second is about the guarantees. You said it wasn't a state-level guarantee. Some private sector guarantee, a private bank guarantee. How do you guarantee? Private bank couldn't be big enough to get. So where does the guarantee come from?
So the first part regarding the success of cities who have got good rating, it's early days because this exercise has just begun, and in last 1.5, 2 months only we have got these cities rated 100 plus, and the reasons are of the full range. We have Pimpri Chinchwad, who's got the highest rating because it has a huge revenue base from the industries in Pune. The Infosys and TCS, who are in the municipal limits, who pay massive commercial property tax. But we also have Ahmedabad, which has got highest rating because it has got excellent governance systems and planning, and a stable tax base, which is just like any other city. It's not exceptional, but it is well managed. So the range is complete range, and we have to find out, go into more detail as to what makes a city more creditworthy.
You've got a good economics paper you could publish.
Sure. Yes. That's why when the credit rating is done, we have engaged firms who will now do the hand-holding to improve credit rating, and those who have got a decent rating to take them to the bond market. So they are like SBI Caps and all the private top-of-the-line companies. Because the SEBI regulation says that those who do the credit rating cannot do consultancy. So we had to have another set of groups. So that is one. The other part generally is also evolving policy. So at this stage, I wouldn't be able to say exactly what makes it big.
But on the guarantee question that you can't send?
Guarantee question, what I mentioned was the line which ministry took was not to have sovereign guarantees, because that's an easy way out. So once we rule out sovereign guarantee for municipal bond markets, then the whole requirement of creditworthiness comes. That is the starting point still, and then we are going for a lower amount of bonds. We are not going for 1,000 crores or a big 2,000 crore bond. Let's start with one water DPR and go for it, 200 crore for a city of maybe 1 million. But still they would need some guarantee. Nobody would. Then we are coming up with a concept called escrowing the either the devolutions or the own revenues. If it is a water sector project, we built into the project that the income from the water